Sagittarius, you're clashing with teen rebels. Find peace through stars. When freedom meets friction. There comes a season in every Sagittarius mother's life when her once curious child turns into a storm of contradiction. Slamming doors, silent glances, and sighs that carry galaxies of unspoken words. You remember when your laughter used to fill the house, when adventure was as simple as holding their hand and wandering through a park or a dream. But now those same hands are reaching for independence, pulling away, leaving you wondering when the distance began. For a woman ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, wisdom, and faith, this loss of connection can feel like betrayal. Sagittarius, you've always believed that love thrives in freedom. Yet when your own child demands space, the ache feels unbearable. You crave understanding, not control. You long to guide without smothering, to be heard without having to shout across the widening canyon of adolescence. The stars whisper that this friction is not failure. It's transformation. The universe is asking you to grow once again, to see your child's rebellion as a mirror of your own restless soul. Perhaps this is not an ending, but a sacred initiation. A new journey where parenting becomes less about authority and more about soul connection. Tonight, as Jupiter lights the horizon, breathe deeply. The wisdom you seek isn't lost. It's waiting within the silence between your words and theirs, glowing softly like embers ready to reignite. This is your moment, dear Archer, to turn conflict into compassion and distance into a bridge made of stars. Chapter 1: The Sagittarian Heart Under Siege. There is a quiet ache that only Sagittarius mothers understand. The pain of watching love turn into argument, of hearing your truth dismissed by the very child you once carried on your back through the world. You've always believed in honesty, in wide-open conversations and laughter that rings through the night. But lately, even your optimism feels tired. The warmth that once defined your home now flickers like a candle in the wind, unsteady and uncertain. You tell yourself this is normal, that teenage rebellion is part of growing up. Yet something deeper stirs inside you. It's not just about the slammed doors or the forgotten curfews. It's about the feeling that your family rhythm has changed forever, that you're standing at the threshold of an emotional frontier with no map. For a Sagittarius soul who thrives on exploration, this emotional territory can feel like a vast desert, too quiet, too heavy, too still. In astrology, Sagittarius represents truth, freedom, and faith. But when your child starts challenging your values, questioning your guidance, or retreating behind the wall of adolescence, even Jupiter's light can dim. The cosmic teacher seems far away, replaced by the daily battles of modern parenting. The smartphone that steals attention, the sarcasm that replaces tenderness, the silence that cuts sharper than words. You start to wonder if you failed to guide them, or if love itself is slipping through your fingers. And yet, dear Archer, this is the moment the stars have been preparing you for. Every Sagittarius journey begins with chaos, because chaos is how you find meaning. The universe isn't punishing you. It's inviting you to awaken to a new kind of freedom, the freedom that exists within surrender. When your teen pushes back, they are not rejecting you. They are discovering who they are, just as you once did when you defied your own parents and chased the horizon with fire in your heart. Look closely and you'll see the reflection of your younger self in their rebellion. The same hunger for independence, the same impatience with limits, the same wild spark that defines your Zodiac soul. Their defiance is not an attack. It's a mirror. Each argument is an echo of your own need for truth. When you stop resisting, when you listen not with fear but with curiosity, the tension begins to soften. You begin to hear what lies beneath their sharp words, a silent plea to be understood. Across the world, studies reveal that teenage anxiety and loneliness are rising. In the U.S., many midlife parents report feeling more isolated than ever, caught between caring for aging parents and navigating their children's emotional storms. Even in Europe, where family bonds traditionally ran deep, recent data shows that family support has dropped to 68%. The collective heart of humanity is aching for connection, and Sagittarius, your open visionary energy is medicine for that ache. Your task is not to fix your teen but to hold the space for growth, for both of you. When the next disagreement arises, pause before responding. Imagine Jupiter's golden light expanding through your chest, reminding you that wisdom doesn't shout, it listens. Replace "why are you so difficult" with "help me understand what you're feeling." This shift transforms conflict into dialogue, resistance into revelation. One Sagittarius mother shared her story. My son stopped talking to me for weeks. I felt invisible. One evening I sat under the full moon and asked the stars to show me his heart. The next day I left a note by his door that said, I see how hard you're trying to grow. I love you even when we disagree. He didn't answer, but that weekend he asked me to watch a movie with him. That was our first peace in months. This is Jupiter's magic. Healing through understanding, not control. So breathe again, Sagittarius. You are not losing your child. You are meeting them anew, soul to soul, in the sacred chaos of growth. You are still the light bringer, the teacher, the traveler between worlds. Your arrow of truth was never meant to wound. It was meant to point toward love. Repeat softly. I release the need to control. I choose to see my child with compassion. I trust that love is the bridge between us. Let this affirmation settle into your heart like starlight, a reminder that no storm lasts forever, and no distance is greater than the reach of a Sagittarius mother's love. Chapter 2: Jupiter's Light in Family Darkness. There is a moment, often quiet, sometimes disguised as exhaustion, when the Sagittarius mother realizes she cannot out-argue the storm. Words that once flowed freely now turn to ash in her throat. Every effort to restore harmony seems to spark another fire. It's in that sacred moment of surrender that Jupiter, your cosmic guardian, begins to whisper. His voice doesn't scold, it expands. He reminds you that even darkness is a classroom, and your child's rebellion is not chaos, it's curriculum. Jupiter rules wisdom, expansion, and perspective. When his energy moves through your chart, he doesn't just bless your finances or open new adventures. He stretches your heart to hold what once felt unbearable. Parenting a teenager isn't meant to be easy. It's meant to be awakening. Sagittarius mothers, ruled by the same planet that governs philosophy, must learn the art of seeing rebellion as a reflection of divine growth. Your child is becoming who they are, and you too are becoming someone new. Remember when you were young, Sagittarius, when you longed to run barefoot into the unknown, certain that truth could only be found beyond familiar walls? That same flame burns in your teen now. The difference is you carry Jupiter's maturity, the ability to guide without chaining, to love without demanding to be right. When Jupiter illuminates family dynamics, he doesn't promise comfort. He promises clarity. And clarity often arrives through discomfort, through the friction that forces two souls to truly see each other. It's no coincidence that Sagittarius season often brings heightened tension in families. The energy of truth and freedom pulses through the air, urging honest conversations and breaking illusions. But this is also your window of grace, a cosmic invitation to turn confrontation into communion. Imagine setting aside the urge to lecture and instead asking your child, what makes you feel alive right now? When they answer, resist the impulse to correct. Just listen. Listening is Jupiter's love language. Astrologically, Jupiter's transits through your personal houses reveal when dialogue can flourish. When he moves through your third house, communication deepens. When he lights your fourth, family healing becomes possible. During these periods, choose adventure over avoidance. Suggest a shared experience that mirrors your Sagittarian essence. A spontaneous day trip, a new hiking trail, even an astrology night where you chart both of your birth maps together. Let the stars become a neutral space, where curiosity replaces criticism. One Sagittarius mother I once counseled shared her turning point. Her daughter, 15, had become withdrawn and cynical. They fought constantly about grades and screen time until one evening, under a wide Arizona sky, she said softly, "You remind me of me." Her daughter blinked, startled, then smiled for the first time in months. That sentence cracked the wall between them. They began hiking every Sunday, not to fix their relationship, but to remember they were still on the same path, just at different stages of the journey. This is the gift of Jupiter's light, perspective. It shows you that love doesn't have to shrink when challenged, it can expand. When your teen's defiance rises, pause and ask, what is this teaching me about trust? If anger flares, breathe Jupiter's wisdom into your heart. Visualize his golden light swirling around you and your child, dissolving tension, restoring faith. There is an ancient truth Sagittarius mothers often forget. The more we seek to teach, the more the universe teaches us. Each eye roll, each slammed door, Each difficult conversation is Jupiter's way of saying, grow here. Expand here. Stretch beyond pride into empathy, beyond fear into love. Create your own Jupiter ritual when emotions run high. Light a candle, take a slow breath, and whisper an affirmation that anchors you to cosmic perspective. Through Jupiter's grace, I learned that understanding is the highest form of freedom. Write this in your journal, draw a small golden circle next to it, and remind yourself that your home is not a battlefield. It's a sacred classroom for souls evolving side by side. Because in truth, Sagittarius, your child's rebellion isn't darkness. It's dawn. The breaking light of a new chapter where both of you are being invited to grow together. Under Jupiter's endless sky. Chapter 3: Healing Across Generations. As the nights grow quieter and the arguments fade into uneasy silences, a new ache begins to stir within you. The ache of distance. Sagittarius mothers often carry a secret grief. The fear that love is slipping away with each passing season. You look at your teenager, half-grown and half-unknown, and realize that the child who once ran into your arms now walks ahead of you. Earbuds in. Lost in a world you can no longer decode. The laughter that once echoed in the living room has been replaced by closed doors and glowing screens. You tell yourself it's just a phase, but in truth it feels like a small death, the end of an era of intimacy. This is where Jupiter's wisdom deepens beyond optimism. This is where you begin to heal, not just as a mother, but as a woman traveling through the great cosmic arc of generations. Across cultures and continents, families are unraveling in ways they never have before. In the United States, midlife women report record levels of isolation, even as they remain the emotional pillars of their families. In Europe, where intergenerational support once provided stability, studies show that family cohesion has fallen to 68%, leaving many feeling unmoored and unseen. You are not alone, Sagittarius. This is a collective wound, a global initiation into a new kind of love that transcends proximity. The stars remind us that connection is not limited by space or silence. It is sustained by intention. The same cosmic current that once drew your ancestors to gather around fires now flows through the invisible thread between your heart and your child's. Even when words fail, that thread remains. Astrologically, this generational tension can be seen in the meeting of planetary archetypes. You, the Sagittarius mother, likely grew under the generous influence of Jupiter in fiery signs, learning to equate love with adventure, faith, and movement. Your teen, however, belongs to the Uranus in Aquarius or Neptune in Pisces generation, born into an era of hyperconnectivity and emotional overwhelm. They seek individuality but drown in constant comparison. You search for meaning through philosophy. They seek validation through virtual mirrors. The gap between you is not personal, it is planetary. But even planets, when they align, can heal worlds. To bridge this cosmic divide, you must first release guilt. Parenting in the 21st century was never meant to be perfect, it was meant to be awakening. You are not failing because your child resists you. You are evolving because you keep showing up with love, even when it hurts. The Sagittarian way has always been to transform suffering into insight, to rise after every fall with a story worth telling. Try this gentle ritual under a waxing moon. Light a blue candle, Jupiter's color of expansion and truth. Write your child's name on a piece of paper, then whisper, I release fear. I choose trust. Let the flame dance as a symbol of faith. Faith that even when paths diverge, love continues its journey. This simple act is not about changing your child. It's about healing the mother within you who still fears losing love. Consider also the ancestral patterns that flow through your lineage. Perhaps your own mother struggled to understand your independence, just as you now struggle to understand your child's. The universe often repeats lessons through bloodlines until they are healed. This is your chance to end the cycle, to be the bridge instead of the barrier. Healing doesn't always mean reconciliation through words. Sometimes it's a softening of energy, a silent blessing sent across generations. In recent years, many Sagittarius mothers have turned to spiritual communities, astrology circles, moon gatherings, meditation retreats, not to escape their families but to remember who they are beyond them. These circles remind you that your worth isn't measured by harmony at home, but by the truth in your heart. When you reconnect to your own light, you naturally illuminate the path for those you love. Your child senses that. Even if they don't say it, they feel the steadiness returning to your energy, the peace that tells them, Home is still safe. One woman shared that after months of estrangement, she began lighting a candle for her son each night, sending silent gratitude for his existence. She never mentioned it to him, yet weeks later he called out of nowhere to say, "I miss your energy." That's the hidden power of Jupiter's grace. What we heal in ourselves ripples outward, crossing unseen distances. So breathe deeply, Sagittarius. The stars are teaching you the art of cosmic empathy, to see your child not as defiant but as a soul unfolding, just as you once did. And perhaps in this vast and shifting universe, the most profound act of motherhood is not holding on, but letting love evolve in its own divine rhythm. Repeat softly as the candle burns low. I trust the divine timing of growth, mine and my child's. Our connection is eternal, our love infinite, our journeys intertwined beneath the same sky. Let the warmth of those words settle into your being. You are healing across generations, guided by Jupiter's eternal light, the same light that reminds you. The bond between souls never truly breaks. It simply transforms into a higher form of love. Chapter 4: The Adventure of Reconnection. There is a quiet morning when the tension softens, when you catch a glimpse of your teenager laughing with their friends, and for a fleeting second, your heart remembers, this too is joy. The silence that once haunted your home begins to feel less like loss and more like space. Space for new ways of love to unfold. Sagittarius, your soul has always been wired for expansion, and now the universe invites you to expand again. Not outward toward distant horizons, but inward, into the sacred adventure of reconnection. Reconnection doesn't always happen through words. Sometimes it begins through shared moments, small, spontaneous, imperfect. A drive to the beach, a walk under the December stars, a simple, "Want to grab coffee?" spoken without expectation. Jupiter's energy thrives in exploration, and so does your healing. Every small journey, physical or emotional, can become a bridge between your heart and your child's. When you invite them into experiences that mirror your natural Sagittarian curiosity, you dissolve the walls of defensiveness and open a pathway to laughter again. Studies show that young adults around the world are reporting declining happiness, their sense of purpose eroded by digital overload and global uncertainty. Yet, here lies your opportunity, Sagittarius. You are the philosopher mother, the one who teaches that joy is not a possession but a perspective. Your gift is to show your child that meaning can still be found in simple adventures. Cooking together, stargazing, listening to music, planning future dreams, even when the world feels uncertain. The more you embody Jupiter's optimism, the more you remind them that resilience is contagious. Turn family life into an unfolding exploration. Instead of strict routines, create adventure rituals. Small moments of discovery that anchor your relationship. Choose one evening each week for something new. A foreign film, a dish from another culture, a conversation that begins with, "What's one thing you learned about yourself this week?" These rituals awaken Jupiter's expansive energy, transforming your home into a living classroom of shared growth. They remind your teen and yourself that love doesn't have to be perfect to be profound. And when frustration returns, as it inevitably will, remember that humor is Sagittarius' secret spell. Laugh even in the chaos. Laughter, after all, is fire meeting wind. It keeps your spirit burning bright. One Sagittarian mother once told me that after months of tension, her daughter began to roll her eyes less when they danced to old songs in the kitchen. "I realized I didn't need to fix her," she said. "I just needed to remember how to laugh." That's Jupiter's wisdom in its purest form. Faith reborn through joy. In your healing journey, invite spiritual practices that reflect your fiery yet tender nature. Journaling gratitude at sunrise, bathing under the full moon, pulling an oracle card together just for fun. Let spirituality be playful again. Sagittarius energy heals best through movement, humor, and philosophy. So blend all three. Ask your child what they believe in, not to correct them but to listen. You might be surprised by how deeply they crave meaning, too. Reconnection, dear Archer, is less about repairing what broke and more about rediscovering what was always there. Beneath every argument lies love waiting for recognition. Beneath every silence lies a longing to be seen. You and your child are not on opposite sides. You are traveling parallel paths toward selfhood, guided by the same constellation of stars. As night falls, imagine standing together under Jupiter's watchful glow. The air is cool, and the distance between you feels smaller than before. You reach out, maybe not with words but with energy, with presence, with love that doesn't demand to be understood, to be felt. This is what the stars call homecoming. Not a return to what was, but an awakening to what can be. Whisper softly as you watch the constellations shift above you. We grow together when love leads our adventure. Let that truth be your compass. Let it remind you that no matter how far your child wanders, you will always share the same sky. For Sagittarius, love is never about holding on. It's about journeying side by side, with faith that every road, no matter how winding, leads back to the heart. Conclusion: a cosmic homecoming. When all the words have been spoken and all the storms have passed, what remains is the quiet pulse of love. Steady, ancient, unbreakable. Sagittarius, your journey through conflict and reconnection has not been a detour. It has been the path itself. You were never meant to raise your children without growing beside them. Every argument, every tear, every silent meal has been part of Jupiter's divine syllabus, the curriculum of compassion. You began this story longing for freedom, yet through the fires of family friction, you have discovered a deeper truth. Freedom and love are not opposites, they are twin flames. Freedom without love becomes isolation, and love without freedom becomes control. But when both are held in balance, when you allow your child to become who they are while still anchoring them with unconditional warmth, that's when Jupiter smiles. That's when you become the embodiment of his greatest teaching: expansion through understanding. So take a moment tonight to breathe in the stillness. Light a candle the color of soft gold, and write a cosmic letter of forgiveness. Not just for your child but for yourself, for the times you doubted, the times you shouted, the times you feared you were losing them. Begin the letter with gratitude. Thank you for showing me how love evolves. Thank you for teaching me that surrender is not weakness but wisdom. Then fold the paper gently and place it beneath a clear quartz or amethyst stone. Crystals aligned with Sagittarius' healing frequency of clarity and truth. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's remembering without pain. It's reclaiming the sacred, knowing that love is eternal, even when form changes. And as you sit there watching the candlelight flicker like Jupiter's flame, feel the universe exhale through you. The tension softens, the loneliness lifts, and something ancient within you whispers, "You've come home." Because home is not a house filled with laughter every day. It's the heart that stays open through all seasons. It's the trust that connection transcends words, time, and even misunderstanding. Your child may still be finding their way, but you, wise archer, have already begun to walk yours with grace. The stars above are your witnesses. They've watched you grow from the fiery dreamer of youth to the compassionate guide you are now. Jupiter's light shimmers through your aura, reminding you that this chapter of motherhood isn't about endings. It's about evolution. You are no longer the same woman who entered this story seeking peace. You are the one who found it within. Close your eyes and whisper your final affirmation, letting it root into your spirit like moonlight in soil. I release fear and embrace growth. My family is my greatest adventure. Love is my compass and wisdom is my home. And as you open your eyes, the night sky seems a little brighter, because it mirrors you, Sagittarius. You have turned conflict into wisdom, rebellion into understanding, and distance into divine connection. You are the embodiment of Jupiter's truth. Boundless love, radiant resilience, and faith that no journey ever truly ends. It only circles back to the heart.